right, welcome back. So let's take you through the reports you just saw, and probably some backstory as well. So we've got Dr. Nicholas Felix, former APC presidential aspirant, a former deputy national youth coordinator for the presidential campaign council of the party, as well as Princess Atika Achana, former assistant secretary, protocol and events of the same APC's campaign council. Good morning, and thank you for coming on both.
Good morning, and thank you for having us.
Well, I know there are out there mixed feelings for generality of Nigerians, but you party folks, probably have some backstory, what's happening, is everybody happy? What kind of reaction are you getting from this list within the party, perhaps?
Everyone is very happy because going by the Renewed Hope Manifesto, the promises that Mr. President made in the manifesto, and also going by his inaugural speech on the inauguration day, we can see clearly that he's already walking the talks. You know, I'm particularly happy because we had 7 women, that's 25% of 28 names that was sent to the Senate last week, Friday. And when I looked at the caliber of women who were chosen, you know, as part of the nominees, I was very happy. And then I said, okay, the hope we're talking about is truly here.
So he fulfilled the promise he made to the women?
Oh, yes, he did. He told us on inauguration day and in his Renewed Hope Manifesto that he would carry the women along. He was going to give us a space on the table. And that when you talk about women, he also emphasized that women are not just the old folks. He was particular about young women. So I'm more than happy to see that we have 2 women, one 37, one 39 years old, below 40, because he said he was going to make 3 people below 40 ministers in his cabinet, because, you know, it's time. We don't just tell the youth, you're the leaders of tomorrow. It's youth o'clock, and that's why he's here, to actualize that. And,
is that to say that they will not be, it doesn't matter if they're ministers of state or lead ministers, it doesn't matter. As long as
what I think is very important is that these women have been identified in their various areas of strength. These are women who currently are handling very sensitive positions. We have an ED of Nexim Bank there. We have the national woman leader of the All Progressives Congress. We have the Federal Commissioner of Internally Displaced People and Refugee. So we have people, we have a ranking House of Representative member, part of them. We have medical doctor who digressed from medicine to finance. She's Commissioner for Finance right now. So I believe they know their competence, they know their capabilities in any area or field they are found. The portfolio they give them, they would deliver. Because there are women who have track records of delivering on their saddled responsibilities. So I have no doubt, and I have no fear, I have no worries. A minister is a minister.
Well, obviously, you've done a poll of people in your party, and you see everyone is happy. I sincerely hope that your compatriot here, Dr. Nicholas Felix, is as happy as you say he is. Dr. Felix, what's your own reaction? Are you happy?
Of course. The list is not complete yet, first of all. And I must tell you, when I watched the Senate president reading this live, one area I was very, very excited about was the area of the women. And 7 women in the cabinet, and these are not just random women. I know at least 6 of them there. If you talk of party loyalty, they're there. If you talk of competence, they're there. If you talk of working very hard for the victory of the president, I flew with most of them to several rallies, including, Princess. And so I think they checked all the boxes to be there. So, for example, Barrister Oju is somebody I know very well. Sometimes we're on the phone for 1-2 hours together. She's somebody I know that is very passionate when it comes to humanitarian service. So I know she will do extremely well. Dr. Betta, I don't think there's anything you will give Dr. Betta that she will not handle. She's not a woman that you can push over. So seeing her there, I would have been disappointed if I don't see her on that list. Seeing her there, I know definitely. Barrister Netu, of course. I have a soft spot for her. So when I saw her there, I was very excited because I remember during the screening, presidential screening, the panelists were getting very hard on me. She was the only one cutting the slack, and she made a statement, I don't know if you're going to win this election, but Nigeria should watch out for you. So anytime I see her, I remember that statement. So seeing her there, I know she's going to do very well. So for the women, the president has fulfilled his promise.
Has he?
Yes. It's fulfilling.
Yeah, we're going to get not just 35, but 40%. Because if you see the appointments he has done so far, we've been given 40%. So far, so good, all in all. So
I'm glad you have a woman here. So she's excited. I'm excited for the women. And just the youth yet, we're yet to see. So I'm hoping that the list that is coming is going to be filled with youth, because for that of the youth, we haven't seen that yet on the list. But
when I look at... They don't qualify as youth?
No, we're going to separate the two. When I looked at the three key things in the manifesto, number one, the president promised a government of national unity. He has fulfilled that.
How?
You know, by having somebody like Wike, and I think there's somebody else from Oyo who's from SDP. So that is massive. That is good. This tells me that the president is doing and is going to do exactly what he has said in his manifesto. The president promised the women, carrying them aboard, and you can see just 28 names, 7 women already there. That tells you the president is doing it. That's why I'm very hopeful that the next list coming out is going to be filled with youth to kind of, complete the entire, the promise. 3 major areas when it comes to the ministerial list that the president promised. So we have confidence, and we know that the president, we keep fulfilling his promise. Not just in the area of, the ministerial list. There are so much when it comes to policy making and the rest of that. This is a 4-year tenure, so there's still a long way to go. So when you see a man doing exactly what he has promised, it gives you the confidence.
Your state is SDP. That's Mr. Wahid Adebayo Adelabu.
I know that Wike, and there's somebody else from another party who was brought on board. Even if it's just one, for you to have somebody from another party, that speaks a lot. Some people may not be happy with that, which I always tell, if you cut somebody, they're going to bleed. But at the end of the day, if you were the president and you promised government of national unity, where are you going to bring the people from? From mass? They're going to have to come from other parties. I'm quite sure if those from the Labour Party stretched forth their hands of fellowship, probably would have 1 or 2 persons there too, just to be able to fulfill that.
How do you mean stretch forth their hands of fellowship?
I mean, after the election, the president kept calling everybody to come together. When he gave the speech on the day of, when he received the certificate of return, he called everybody to come on the table. Apparently, some people...
The Labour refused?
Some people refused to, to come to the table to discuss. Probably they still agree, but some stretch for their hand of fellowship. And now we see the president fulfilling his promise when it comes to government of national unity. This election was very tense. You must understand that. So for him to be doing this, I have so much confidence in him.
Well, first and foremost, you've talked about the women, and, some people will say, oh, this is still not what, a lot of people are asking for. They think that women should at least be 35%. So on that count, it does appear that, yes, there's, significant number of women, but not yet what it is that a lot of people are agitating for. How do you respond to that?
I tell a lot of people, we've been speaking on this particular issue, and I told them that we still have about 12...
Within your party?
Yes, about 11 states. Nominees are yet to come from those states, and I am confident. If I have never been confident about anything, I was part of the 50 women delegation who visited the president 2 weeks ago to congratulate him on assumption of duty, as well as his election as chairman of ECOWAS. And he promised, he reiterated, he assured us that he's going to keep to his promise. And he had promised to give the 35% affirmative action across boards, not just in the ministerial nomination, as you've started seeing, heads of parastatals, heads of government agencies, top government agencies, A-list parastatals, members of his inner caucus, like the 8th. You saw the list that came out, the 20-man list. And then the former special advisors list that came out. We have 40% already. That's why I say I don't have iota of doubt that he's also going to do this, because he has done it, and he's promised. And he also told us that we'll see a lot of people below the age of 50. We have several of them in the list now. So I don't know if Pastor Nicholas is going by the United Nations standard of saying 35 and below, but we know globally it's accepted that 45 and below are youth, and in there right now we have about 6 of them. We have about 6 of them. We have the likes of Honorable Tunji Ojo, was born in 1982.
Yeah.
We have Iman Suleiman, it's 1980, was born in 1980. We have 1979. So, I mean, if you ask me, I would say that he's trying to balance it. And what we were complaining about, because I was particularly happy, I said, what a time to be a young woman in Nigeria. When people will look at you and when they talk about youth, you're not just looking at the other gender. You're looking at both genders because you have the youth comprises of male and female. But over the years, it's been sidelined. So in this Asiwaju regime, and I also know that he's going to make sure that when it comes to party affairs, we're going to, in his time, also witness a woman being the first national youth leader of a political party in Nigeria. I have no doubt. So
you seem very, very confident, and I don't want to take your confidence away, but then have you also heard some of the reactions from the general public? There are people who say, oh no, there is nothing to be excited about in this list. I mean, 28 names. Yes, you have a few technocrats, but they think that where we currently are at, in terms of our economic problems, our security problems, that we're so close to being on the brink that we should be getting people with technical know-how, people with expertise, experts in various fields to, populate this cabinet. And they're not quite seeing that. They think this is just a list of reward, is more a political list than a list that is meant to actually show that government intends to work the talk when it comes to bringing people, raising them up and leading them to prosperity.
So far, I don't see anything on that list that will not cause anybody to be excited. If you permit me, before I dive into that, I think if there's any group of persons or people who should be, asking for more, is the youth. Let me quickly dissect the difference so we're on the same page. There are a lot of young women on that list, which is very good. And I even seen youth, under 50 youth. In my consideration, you are still young, except if you choose to be old when you are 45. But if you're under 50, you are still in that category. But for the women who are there, they are checking the box of women, not just youth. For example, when the president met with the women, they were there as women. They represent women. And I'm expecting that when they are sitting on the table, they are going to be speaking on behalf of the women, representing the women. But when the president met with the youth, they were not there as youth. So that's the difference. And I'll be very disappointed if we get sidelined again by just saying they're all young. No, this is going to be the same whole trick. The women have got what they asked for. They're still asking for more. But we want to see more of those who are representing the youth. I'm not saying they have to just be men. For example, there's this lady, I think it's Aisha, that was very outspoken. Even though she's a young woman, but you can see she's speaking for the youth. She's representing the youth, the category, not just checking the box of the women. So I want to quickly put this out there to let us know that women got what they want. Government of National Unity, they have gotten what they want. We as youth, we are hopeful that the next list that is coming out, we should be able to see more. They can be young women, but who represent the youth, not just representing the women. So let me quickly put that out there. That's the only thing in that list. Now, understand that you cannot have, yes, we want young people, we want technocrats. Even if I was elected president, some of these old faces, like you will call them, you still have to have them on board. You can't just get rid of them, everybody, and just bring just fresh blood, alone in the system. So the president has balanced it. We have a lot of young women. We have a 41-year-old. Professor Patti, I don't think he's somebody that was appointed because they want to reward him. I think he's somebody that everybody has agreed that this man is bringing a lot to the table. So I think you have to balance it. You cannot just have a whole set of group of just one group of persons. Like I said, at my young age, if I was, continuing to be elected president, even as much as I advocate for youth, it doesn't mean the cabinet will just be youth and just new faces. We also need some old faces to carry along.
Let's bring our colleagues in from Lagos.
Well, thank you, Chamberlain. Let me begin with Dr. Felix. For a lot of people, they had expected that perhaps your name would have made that list, saying that you had, joined ranks with the president now, you made some moves and all of that. So I don't know if you're disappointed, if you had expected your name to show up on that list. But, both of you essentially have said that you're excited about this list. Essentially, the names on it, you perhaps picture great things to happen. But for a lot of Nigerians, I'd like you to speak to them. What exactly is it in practical terms to be excited about these lists? And judging from recent history, were you excited, for example, by the performance of these outgone ministers from the previous administration? Because there was a lot of excitement then, there was a lot of eyeballs on their screening and all of that. For you, seeing their performance after all of that excitement with the nomination, were you excited? And more importantly, what is different this time around? Because for a lot of people, they didn't see anything that changed, really.
Okay. First of all, the first question of my name being on the list, of course, I've gotten that question a lot, that expectation. But like I said, I relocated back to Nigeria after spending over 2 decades in the United States, and I've offered myself for service. Of course, it's up to the president to deem it, if he deem it fit for me to be in his cabinet. I've always said I'm one phone call away. That aside, the excitement for me, first of all, is number one, this is a man who came and promised. He promised to have women in his cabinet. He promised a government of national unity. Now, when you see a man, fulfilling his promise at this early stage, it tells you that every other thing he has said is going to ensure that he perform on them. He carry out his promise. So that's the first excitement. And now, when you go through the list, I don't know everybody on the list, but I'll just speak on one, a few of them that I know. For example, a lot of people may not be excited seeing somebody like Governor Wike. Governor Wike has been on the opposition side, and I'm not saying this now because the president has appointed him. He's somebody I've always liked, the fact that he was, they call him Mr. Project. This guy has done a lot of projects in Port Harcourt, and inviting, people from other parties, commissioning projects all the time. President Muhammadu Buhari called him Mr. Project. At the end of the day, I would love to see somebody like that, as Minister of Works, to continue what we know him to do best. On a lighter note, who wouldn't want to see Wike and his band? It's always entertaining, singing and all of that. Who wouldn't want to see him? So that's one part of it. Is he El-Rufai? This is a man who said, I don't want to be a minister, but yet the president says, I need you on board. The president knows why he chose Governor El-Rufai. Is it the women who are there, Barrister Oju, like I said? Is it Dele Aleke? When I saw Dele Aleke was appointed as SA, first of all, I said to myself, this is a man who has shown great loyalty to the president. I think he should be a minister. So see him there, it's exciting. But the first point for me, the excitement is, a man promised that he's going to get women on board. Now we have 7 women, thus far, hoping to get more like the women wish. And he promised government of national unity. We have seen that on the list. Right. So that's the excitement. We know most of the things that he promised, he's still going to perform on them.
Right. Let me take this to Eteka Jano. And still the same question, but I'll just rephrase it. Because you can tell what a man, in this case a party, will do from what it has done, well, now in recent times. So looking at, again, the outgone ministers, the ministers in this previous administration, with all of the excitement that came, and then the performance they put on board, what is different this time around? I mean, you belong to the party, and this is an extension, a lot of people will say, of the Buhari government, because it's still the same APC that is in power. So really, were you excited about the performance of the previous ministers such that you're now excited that, okay, this will continue in that trajectory?
Thank you very much. I am very excited, and then I also like to mention that I was an SA to a minister in the past administration. I was an SA to the Minister of State for FCT. And you would all agree with me that in the history of FCT, the way the area councils were developed and carried along had never been done before. She was a minister who came under the President Muhammadu Buhari administration, and she gave her best. She is a town planner. She used her experience as a town planner. We also had the substantive minister then, Mohamed Musa Bello. He came. There were a lot of uncompleted projects by the previous PDP administration. He came and ensured that these projects were completed. And then there used to be a lot of racketeering when it comes to contracts and then a payment of contracts or what some. So I was in the FCT. I worked very closely with 2 ministers. Then on a general note, I would say that the Buhari administration ministers did their bits. Of course, you have pocket of ministers who underperformed here and there, but again, you people come all the time to tell us APC is perceived as one party. So what you're seeing, it's continuation. But from what you have seen so far, you will know that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu said he's going to look more into competence. He's going to be more of a government of national competence than national unity. And that's what I have seen on the list. People talk about technocrats. Who are technocrats? You're talking about professionals in a particular field based on training or experience. We have a lot of them. If you look at that list, even those who are practicing partisan politics are also technocrats. Will you call someone like an El-Rufai, Governor El-Rufai, as somebody who is just compensated? He is a professional, a first-class graduate of quantity surveyor. Or is it Engineer Dave Umahi, the governor of, former governor of Ebonyi State? He is a seated engineer. So we have lots of... Dr. Ali Pate was Minister of State Health, and we all knew what he did. The primary health care sector of Nigeria started blossoming. We got to know about free vaccination. We got to know about the door-to-door vaccination taken to the next level. During his time, remember, he's in the United Nations. He has agreed to come over. Or is it the legal luminary himself? He is the oldest on the list. And, you know, that also brings me to appreciating Mr. President, because he said he's going to have the very old, the people who have been around for so long, the people who are new in the system, who have something to offer, and people who are just midway there. So everyone will be carried along. Someone like me now, I'm so confident that he has someone in my age cadre who will listen to needs of people in my category. So we have technocrats. We have people who are just concerned because they could see faces during campaigns making the list, and they just assumed it's based on compensation rather than merit. Every single person on that list, you can go through their profile. I'm sure we'll have short profiles of them. I can go through all of it. And there are people who I've worked closely with. And I tell you without iota of doubt in my mind that these people are going to deliver. The first, and you know, we should just watch out for massive socio-economic development coming our way in Nigeria this time around, because we have a seasoned economist. You can see Wale Edu.
Madam, it is to be expected that you know, politicians such as yourself and Dr. Felix would praise to high heavens the list that the president has come up with. But let me ask Dr. Felix. I mean, looking at the fintech space, for instance, youths dominate it. And there are those who believe very, very strongly that technology is the new oil, and it's the young people that play the most in that space. So it only then raises the question, not just of policies, but of capacity to understand the ecosystem, the technology ecosystem. So that's perhaps another background to Chamberlain's question about young people not being as represented as one would have expected. Knowing what they have been doing at their private level, you know the value that they have generated from the businesses that they created and sold in hundreds of millions of dollars. So what would be the premise, by your own, from your own understanding, as to why the president perhaps has not added any young people of significant tech experience in his cabinet so far?
Yes, thank you for that question, and thank you for, the manner at which, you presented it, because I was in a podcast with someone on Saturday, and this gentleman was saying the youth are the problem of this country. I was very pissed hearing that, understanding that a lot of youth are making it in the private sector. Look at our musicians, they no longer even just perform in Nigeria. They are shutting down stadiums in Europe, in America. They are making us very, very proud. Is it the technical word? The youth are doing, extremely very well. Of course, we have a 41-year-old there, Tunde Joe, born in 1982. That's one, and, we're excited. Like I said, we still have about 13 to go. When you look at the fact that the president added, all the women, 7 women so far on this list, it's as if, let me put this out for us. That's why I'm hopeful, and I'm expecting that the next list will be filled with young people, youth, to kind of balance what we've been asking for. Again, these are young women, but we need those who are going to be speaking, representing the youth. That's what I've been championing. That's what I've been advocating. And that's the only reason, to be sincere with you, why I went through with the primaries. Just to have a youth on that day stand and speak to represent the youth, because we've been just absent for just too long with this mindset that we have nothing to offer. That's why I really appreciate your question, understanding that the youth have a lot to offer. We have so much to bring on the table. We have proven it in the private sector. We are proving it in, is it entertainment? Is it sport? We're not just asking for this because we are just, because youth are absent. We have something to bring up on the table. For example, somebody like at the age of 36, I started running a multi-million-dollar company, built from scratch, started with one employee, and within the past 9 years, hired over 3,000 people, currently over 250 employees in the United States, and so much investment all over the place. So when you have youth like this who have done so much, for example, entertainment industry, technology, at the end of the day, when it comes to politics, you say we have nothing to offer. It becomes so annoying and insulting to our struggle as youth. So the president has fulfilled his promise, bringing young people on board, the young women. We have one youth there already. And we're hoping that the next list, we're going to see more of them. So there's nothing to be scared of. There's nothing to be afraid. We are not angry. No, we're excited. Like I said, for me, the fact that I'm seeing him doing what he promised, it tells me that he's going to continue doing so.
Well, I'm a little
Can I just
concerned.
add to that?
Madam, just one moment. Okay, go ahead, madam. Add what you want to add.
Yes, you were talking about, young people, because of the technical world, the way the world is revolving right now. There's somebody on that list already who is a youth and also a techie person, and he's Honorable Tunji Ojo. Honorable Tunji has about 7 certifications in, he's also a certified ethical hacker. He was trained abroad, he was working, he's one of those people who were helping us to curb cybercrime, and you saw in the House how the first 2 sittings they've had, you've seen how vibrant he's been speaking up pretty much on curbing cybercrime and putting some laws into place and then having training programs. So he's coming in with his own wealth of experience.
Understood. It's quite well understood. So, yes, it's understood and it's well appreciated. But Dr. Felix, let me come back to you. When we talk about young people, the United Nations says youth is between ages 15 and 24. In Nigeria, according to the National Youth Policy of 2019, a youth is between ages 18 and 29. We definitely can't say they don't have anything to offer. So let's bring it home to young people, youths, the way they really are. I can understand the arguments that you've proffered the other time, but I'm looking for inspiration for these young people from the ministerial list. Many of them do not know a host of the people that have so far been listed on. And in another list is going to come, so far from what we have heard from the Chief of Staff to the President. So it is that inspiration that I am looking for young people, that they can say, yes, I know 1 or 2 of these people, I can identify with 1 or 2 of these persons, and I am inspired that so long as this individual is on the list, I am inspired.
Yes, I know Mr. President is going to fulfill his promise. You see, one of the reasons I went all the way for him, joining and supporting him, was just this fact. Maybe you don't know, in 2019, I ran, I was a presidential candidate. I think we were about 72 candidates, and there were over 35 young candidates, presidential candidates. And at the end of the day, I came 3rd position after Atiku Abubakar in the general election. And after the election, my party wanted us to go. Since you are the 3rd place winner, this government has promised government of national unity and all of that. I declined. I didn't go. I went straight back to America. I never came back. I said, I don't know if we are going to be carried along in this administration, and I do not have the time and stress to go. But when it comes to this president, he didn't have to say too much because of his antecedent. Recently, when the youth went to see him, I pay close attention to little things like this. When the youth went to see him, and Dio Israel, a very vibrant young man, spoke very eloquently. And I saw the president clapping. I don't think I've seen the president clap in any event like that. He was literally clapping. I said to myself, that's what we want to see. a man who understands, a man who wants to carry us along, a man who understands that the youth are important. He was literally cheering up for the way that your Israel spoke. That's what we're looking at. Again, a new list is coming out, and I have the confidence that since the women are already happy, national unity is there, there are going to be more youths on that new list that will cause the whole thing to be purely balanced. It's just 28 yet. I think we have up to 13 more to go. And I will not be surprised to see 5, 6, 7 of them as young people. I mean, if you listen to what the Chief of Staff said, the president is being very meticulous. You know, there are some people there who you can give 2 or 3 positions, 3 ministries, and they will do well. So he's trying to make sure he checks the boss. And if he gets everybody together on you know, the entire names and be able to tick it better, I think that we do better. Sometimes we have to be a little bit patient and not just rush.
What exactly? With the attaching portfolios to the names?
Yes. 28 names are already there.
Patient as when? How long?
I mean, when I say patient, it's just 60 days a year already. I'm saying, let the other 13 names come. Let's have the full list.
Yeah, but we're saying, look, the president said, look, he's asked for this job a long time ago. He's ready to hit the ground running. So what's the big deal about attaching portfolios to the names?
He has been hitting the ground running. Everything has been happening.
Attaching portfolios to the names.
He's going to do that. We have 28 names. I think it makes sense to get others on board. Let us have the 42 or 43, and he can attach the portfolio. So,
but when you set up the multi-billion-dollar company, did you interview people without knowing what they were going to do?
I'm sure the president already knows.
No, I mean the people who were interviewed. Did they know where you were going?
The fact that he has not announced the portfolio doesn't mean he doesn't know who he's going to give.
So senators will just get in there. They'll just have general questions without knowing where they're going to go to. How does that help everybody who wants to follow through?
I believe the president already has a portfolio. You know, at least for some persons. I don't believe everybody there, he just chose them and say, later I'm going to think about it. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. I know he already has a portfolio for, you know, some of them, but
he didn't give it to the Senate. He didn't attach it.
Yeah, but he wouldn't attach some and leave some. You know, that wouldn't make any sense.
So he doesn't know what he wants to give to other people?
Like I said, somebody like Dr. Betta Edu, I'm sure she will do well when it comes to health, women affairs, name it. But it would be good.
Dr. Patti is there too as a health person.
I'm just trying to let you know, some persons there can wear more than one hat. And at the end of the day, you want to make sure you check all the boxes and not just give the person maybe women affair, where, okay, somebody else can do women affair, why you take this? So that's the point. So many of these guys are so capable. It's not just doing one thing.
But this is not a big deal because the chief of staff himself, when he was speaker, before he became speaker, did advocate the same thing. That portfolio should be attached to names. So it's not, we're not asking anything out of the ordinary.
For me, as an advocate of the youth, that's my least problem now. I just want to see more youth there, and the president can attach portfolio as we go. That's not too much of a problem for us yet. But like I said, the fact that he has not announced it, I do believe he already has a portfolio for some of these ministerial nominees.
Let me ask Princess Ajana this particular one about the Senate. Do you have any expectations on the part of the Senate, or do you have any fears? Looking at the fact that, one, there are no portfolios attached, and the fact that, you know, senators they've already expressed some of what it is that they expect to do today. What are your expectations from the senators?
I expect the senators to ask every single person on that list questions that every Nigerian wants answers to. We know those questions already going through our minds the moment the list was made public. I also want to see everybody talking about their potentials, what they have, talking about their careers, taking us through their career path, giving us records of what they have achieved in their past assignments. I wouldn't want any but like the usual way you tell women to take a bow and leave. I don't want to see anybody taking a bow today, because those women have a lot to offer. The people on that list have got a lot for Nigerians, and giving them opportunity to speak to Nigeria will convince Nigerians. And like Ayo Makinde was worried, like talking about role models. What should people see? Who are those youth on the list that people will see and be inspired and say, okay, maybe there is hope for every young Nigerian out there? We have, like I said, the 3 youngest on that list are very young people. I'll start with Stella Okotete if I have the time. Honorable Stella Okotete, at the age of 35, was brought in as an administrator that she was brought into the party to come act as the woman leader for the extraordinary convention committee. And as at that time, we had our party members in disarray. We had women who were decamping, who have been wooed to other parties, and they've been decamping. But within the shortest period of time, she was able to bring back these people together. And she's the ED of Business Development with her records in Nexim Bank. Then you see the likes of Dr. Betta Edu. She's the youngest on that list. She's been DG in her state. She was an SA to her governor. She was Commissioner of Health. She was the only functioning commissioner during COVID, and she was able to still do a lot to keep the economy afloat in her area.
I'm
and
sure
today
people
she's
will
there.
dispute that only functioning commissioner will, be very, very disputed.
No, one of the most functioning commissioners. Then you see the likes of Iman Suleiman. She's also very young. She was about launching the permanent building she had for internally displaced people. This is something that she has achieved. So when people look at these people, how do you achieve this? You'll be like,
so you want senators to actually ask them questions and no one should take a bath?
Ask them questions. Who even know? And like Pastor Felix said, you won't tell us that because portfolios were not attached to the Senate, we don't know the portfolios that this group of people. These are people. This is a precedent that even the senior special assistants and special assistants that have been appointed thus far, we have seen everybody is, a perfect situation or scenarios that you talk about, round pegs and round hole. We've not seen anybody that he has appointed so far that will say, oh, why did you give Barrister Hadiza policy reform? Oh, why did you give Mr. Dele Alake? We already know that the transformation in the media, in the information system that we've been clamoring for is here. Seeing Dele Alake, I don't need a soothsayer to tell me where to direct my questions. If I was a senator in the hallowed chambers today taking on them, or I see Wale Edu, or I see the legal luminary himself from Kwara State, this was someone who made people like myself wanting to study law at a very young age then in Kwara State. And then I'm so excited. I can't wait for him to come and give us the much-needed reform that we're clamoring for in the judiciary. So, yeah.
All right, I guess we'll see what happens at the end of the day. But certainly, several of them will take a bow and go. That will happen for sure today. So, as they say, it's their convention. So, nothing anybody can do about that. There cannot be two ministers of health, even if there are two health persons there.
There are three health persons. Dr. Doris
there can be three health ministers.
I think the question should be based on the capacity they are currently bringing on board.
What capacity? What position?
Questions about health. We know he's a media person. Professor Patti, focus on.
We have a Barrister Hanatu Musawatu. We have a lot of professionals. So when I hear people say,
why didn't you just make it easy? Since you already know this, we just attach portfolio to make it straightforward for all politicians.
Who technocrats are? Who you refer to as technocrats?
I guess we'll see the question, and everybody will see it, and then we'll see what goes on in the minds of the lawmakers who will be asking the questions. As a matter of fact, much later today. So. Keep tabs on them as well. So, gentlemen, gentlemen, thank you for coming on today. Dr. Nicholas Felix and Princess Atika Ajana, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so we're back in just a moment. Stay on with us.